Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can I please ask that you rise for the entrance of the procession and remain standing until after the national anthem.
South Africa.
seated.
Another round of applause to our multi-talented choir, please. Thank you. By virtue of the power vested in me as Chancellor, I hereby constitute this congregation of the University of the Witwatersrand for the conferment of degrees. Sanibonani. Dumelang. Good afternoon. And welcome to our first graduation cluster for the year 2022. A special welcome to those that are joining us online, our esteemed guest of honor, Judge Justice Bokomo Mlodo, Ms. Jabus Sishuba, Mrs. J, Mr. and Mrs. Given Mkari, Given and Ipileng, Mirafi and Refilwe Mulodo, welcome to our honorary doctorate recipient family. This is a special year for Wits University, where we celebrate 100 years as a proclaimed university. We couldn't have chosen a better class to celebrate this special year with, Your resilience and commitment to succeed against all odds is second to none. You had to overcome so many obstacles, especially the worst pandemic in a century, COVID-19, that is still with us, unfortunately. Some of you lost loved ones to the pandemic, and so did the university. We pay our respects to them and express our gratitude to your families, friends, and the academic staff for their support during a very difficult time for humankind globally. A hearty congratulations to you, your families that supported you, and your lecturers who had to use their innovation, hard work, and commitment to adapt to a very different environment over the past 2 years. As a very proud member of the class of 2022, I witnessed and was a benefactor of the decisive and caring leadership that ensured that teaching continued during 2020 and 2021. For this, I thank the former Vice-Chancellor, Professor Adam Habib, and the current Vice-Chancellor, Professor Zeblon Vilagazi, the academic staff, and donors who provided resources for our marginalized students. We continue to experience challenges, whether it's natural disasters, as we see in KZN, or it's actually man-made. Our hearts go to all those that are affected by both. Today, you'll graduate from an institution that is consistently ranked as one of the top 2 research-intensive universities in Africa. Over 200,000 students who live and work across the globe have graduated from this institution. No less than 5,593 students will graduate in this graduation cluster alone. WITS boasts about 433 NRF-rated researchers, of whom 26 are A-rated, identifying them as international leaders in their field. At WITS, excellence and transformation are 2 sides of the same coin, with a student population that broadly represents the demographic profile of our country. The environmental, social, and economic challenges we face as a country demand ethical and caring leadership for greater good. WITS for Good stands for innovative ethical leaders who inspire hope and galvanize all humankind for common good. We expect no less from you. Congratulations, Halala. Today, candidates will be presented for degrees in the Faculty of Commerce, Law and Management. I confer degrees on the persons whose names appear in the graduation program. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chancellor. I now call upon the Acting Dean of the Faculty of Commerce, Law and Management to present a candidate for an honorary degree.
Madam Chancellor, I have the honor to present Judge Bakone Justice Moloto for the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa. Born in 1944, Bakone Justice Moloto first studied at the University Colleges of the North and Fort Hare. He was a prominent student leader at the University College of Fort Hare and was involved in a skirmish with the police at a student protest to commemorate the death of Prime Minister Verwoerd in 1966. This led to his exclusion from Fort Hare for a year, during which he taught at Orlando West High School and Chidi Barolong High School. Readmitted to Fort Hare in 1968, he became active in the University Christian Movement, UCM, which called a strike to protest the university's refusal to allow the UCM to operate on campus. This resulted in all students being suspended and required to reapply for readmission. Moloto was not readmitted in 1969. In 1971, he was banned under the Suppression of Communism Act and banished to Mahikeng. In Mahikeng, he became a candidate attorney for Frank Sithole and completed his BA 1973 and BProc 1978 degrees at the University of South Africa. In 1978, he qualified as an attorney and set up his own firm. Later, from 1986 to 87, he became a managing partner in the attorneys' firm of Bakwa Moloto, Nzimande Webster, and Mbuli in Durban. In 1977, the Black Lawyers Association was formed to represent the interests of black professional lawyers, and shortly afterwards, the Black Lawyers Association Legal Education Center was established to find positions for young black lawyers in law firms and to engage in trial advocacy training. In 1987, Moloto succeeded Godfrey Pitcher, the doyen of South African black lawyers, as director of this program. According to Justice Dikgang Moseneke, former Deputy Chief Justice of South Africa and former Chancellor of the University of the Witwatersrand, the trial advocacy program under Moloto flourished as it attracted scores of practicing advocates and attorneys, so much so that the program had to be extended beyond Johannesburg to far-flung cities like Cape Town, Durban, and Port Elizabeth as demand grew. In 1995, Moloto was appointed as a judge of the Land Claims Court that dealt with claims by people who had been dispossessed of their land during the apartheid era. In 2003, he was also appointed as a judge of the North Gauteng High Court, in effect serving as judge before two courts. In 2005, Moloto was nominated by the South African government to serve on the United Nations International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, that's the ICTY. It was established by resolution of the Security Council in 1993 to prosecute persons responsible for committing serious violations of international humanitarian law, that is, genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes in the former Yugoslavia after 1991. Judges were required to be properly qualified judges of high moral character, impartiality, and integrity, and were elected by the General Assembly of the United Nations from a list submitted by the Security Council. In 2005, Moloto was duly elected as a judge of this court by the General Assembly. He is the only South African to sit as a judge on the ICTY, generally recognized as the most successful international criminal tribunal of recent years. His career at the ICTY extended from 2005 to 2017. During this period, he sat as a judge in a number of the most historic international criminal trials of the present era. His final trial was that of the commander of the Bosnian Serb army, General Ratko Mladic, widely known as the Butcher of Bosnia, who was found responsible inter alia for the siege of Sarajevo and the massacre of some 8,000 Muslim Bosnians at Srebrenica in 1995. The court sat from 2011 to 2017 in the case, and in November 2017 convicted Mladic of genocide, crimes against humanity, and other international crimes. Mladic was sentenced to life imprisonment. The appeal against this verdict is still pending. Moloto was highly regarded as a judge by his judicial colleagues and counsel. He was an independent thinker and did not hesitate to dissent from the majority of the court when he found this necessary. His dissenting opinions were of significance to the jurisprudence of the ICTY. His time at the ICTY was characterized by loyalty and collegiality to the institution that he served. Judge Theodore Moron, a former president of the ICTY, summed up the esteem in which he was held by judges of the court when he stated, "Judge Moloto's service at the ICTY was characterized by independence, impartiality, fairness, professionalism, and depth. When the law and evidence so required, he did not hesitate to reach unpopular decisions. Never guided by preconceived narratives of guilt or innocence, law fairly applied was his one and only lodestar. Once he had reached a decision, he adhered to his position, disregarding any political agenda. In short, Moloto was a model to his colleagues in the international judiciary. In recognizing a life devoted to the pursuit of justice in different countries, different circumstances, and different times, it is befitting that the University of the Witwatersrand, Johannesburg, confers an honorary doctorate degree on Bakone Justice Moloto. Madam Chancellor, I have the honor to request that you confer the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, on Bakone Justice Moloto.
Thank you. I confer the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, on Bakone Justice Moloto. Moloto to give us his speech, please. Thank you.
Let me begin by apologizing for speaking to you seated. It is certainly not out of any disrespect for you. It's because of other reasons which we don't need to go into. Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, Chairman of Council, Deputy Vice Chancellors, Dean of Faculty of Commerce, Law and Management, Senior Management, and members of the Academy, graduating students and their families, good afternoon. It is with immense gratitude that I accept this honor. Thank you. First, to the university for the honor of the conferral of a Doctor of Laws upon me. I understand the weight of such distinguished title. It was in 1987 that I, in this auspicious institution, alongside my brothers and family, felt the reverence watching my mother, Ellen Kuzwayo, receive her very first honorary doctorate, also in law. And like she, who went on to serve our country as a member of our first parliament in 1994, and all honorees after her, I appreciate the responsibility that this comes with. To continue to contribute my decades of expertise and passion for our country to the marketplace of ideas and higher learning. Thank you also to the graduating students for allowing me to share in this auspicious day of your own. Congratulations to you all on an incredible feat, particularly under the pressures of the unprecedented past 2 years. I am grateful we have come far enough through this time to enjoy this day in one another's day. Will contribute to the academic lexicon. You have been more adequately given the edge that the University of the Witwatersrand has spent a full century this year developing, crafting, revising, and optimizing alongside graduates just like yourselves. And as alumni, one anticipates you will continue this practice of refinement, revision, and reinforcement for the century to come. This is certainly the case in my discipline. The law itself is not static. It is as dynamic as its society and its scholars allow it to be. Our simple understanding of case precedent is a reminder that with our very legal contribution, we are writing and refining our laws every day. Our judicial contribution in that regard is central to our lasting recorded building of society. Perhaps no period in South Africa's democratic history has been more demonstrative of this than the past decade. In ordinary times, we know that the three pillars of state, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, have operated fiercely independently of one another, designed to allow voters to hold the executive accountable through their constituent representatives in the legislature, while the judiciary held all citizens and residents accountable to our laws. This decade of accountability inertia exposed to us that the legislature, filled with representatives on all sides of the multi-party ecosystem, more beholden to their political parties than to the voters to whom they are constitutionally accountable, became increasingly toothless at holding the executive to account. And as a result, the judicial pillar of the state over time became increasingly drawn in by opposition parties, think tanks like the Helen Suzman Foundation, of Freedom Under Law, civil organizations like OUTA, Organization Undoing Tax Abuse, and lobby groups like AfriForum to exact by law the very accountability from the executive to citizens the legislature failed to achieve. What should have been exceptional events became the norm, holding the executive to account by court ruling rather than by debate and votes by conscience in the legislature, to such an extent that some have even unfairly accused the judiciary of overreach. Is it not then time for us to restore the norm that was intended, that the legislature be filled with representatives of the people, not of the parties they are members of. The debate over South Africa's electoral system has been long and heated, with views from many corners, some very invested in the status quo. One thing that has been proven without question by our recent history is that the status quo is not serving the majority of the population, and that our proportional representation system does not allow the views of the people full representation within the legislature. Parliamentary representation is a matter of civic, I repeat, civic, not political duty. We, as a society, are to hold one another to the oath taken to abide by the Constitution and represent constituents. That is why Parliament is known as the People's House. There can be no accountability for civic service if decisions in Parliament are made on a political basis by career politicians, no less. Career interest will then always trump country interest or citizens' interest, as this decade of inertia demonstrated so clearly. By example, members of our legislature, the House of Parliament, failed to unseat former President Jacob Zuma out of his role as President of the Republic by a vote of no confidence, no fewer than 8 times. And on the 8th, despite being secured a secret ballot to protect themselves individually from political persecution, ANC members still voted on that day in August 2017 in majority in favor of his confidence and as instructed and widely publicized, in favor of the party, not in favor of the country. But all is not lost. Here you sit, a fresh cohort of brilliant legal, management, and commercial minds about to be released into the world with opinions about yours and our collective future. Would you not also like to have your say in who represents your opinions in those hallowed halls of the legislature, holding the executive accountable to you and not to one another? Voting for political party of several thousand or even hundreds of thousands of members who turn inward and decide amongst themselves the leadership of all 60 million of us is no way demonstrative of what we all know to be democracy. The people shall govern. So commanded the ANC's Freedom Charter in the demand for democracy. The very doctrine that ushered the first era of legal dynamism into democracy in 1994's election. The hard-won right for every single South African voice to be heard. That vote was too costly in life and livelihood to be squandered by exclusion from the most critical vote, that for which people shall govern. The people shall govern, it declared. Not the party shall govern. The United Kingdom offers a perfect example of the constituency-based electoral system suggested. A system in which candidates from various parties vie for election in a particular constituency, with the candidate winning the majority of the votes representing that constituency in the legislature. The representative naturally pioneers what she promised her constituents instead of blindly following party policy. To do otherwise might see her not returning to parliament at the next elections. Thus, accountability to constituents becomes the responsibility of the parliamentary representative. Where the executive is concerned, in the UK example, rather than simply comprising political colleagues of the legislature, the civil service is precisely that, civic. It is a permanent, professional army of technocrats, experts in their fields, with depth of institutional knowledge, with the ability to advise their ministers, with emphasis on actual best outcomes. Outcomes that are truly best for the country, knowing that being held accountable by constituents, not political pearls, their jobs are not, and should never be, secure without performance. Now, we can all agree the United Kingdom has its own shortcomings in the practical application of this electoral system. But as a blueprint for an effective closed feedback loop, theirs offers myriad guidelines, both of what to emphasize and what to avoid. One learning is clear. A decade of policy and political inertia and guaranteed place holding in the executive or legislature, regardless of performance, is nearly impossible in that accountability loop. Constituencies know they at least each have a balanced representative seat at the proverbial table and can recall representatives that do not perform. Civil service is technocratic rather than politically stacked. Institutional memory remains in the departments and can be passed forward to other expert technocrats. We know that South Africa's decade of inertia and corruption successfully hollowed out even some of our best public institutions, historically highly technocratic, purposely leaving political stooges in their wake. Debate is fierce and focused on issues that affect citizens' daily lives more so than personality. A second era of legal dynamism that might embrace these principles once more is most certainly within the realm of possibilities in bringing about the dream of what the president calls a capable state. Certainly, with the brilliant minds in this room and all your peers. The people shall govern. That is democracy. And the law is dynamic. We have seen this in the past 100 years of this fine institution. We have certainly seen it in the past 28 years of our country's democracy. As our minds are unleashed onto the world, think about what contribution you might make to the legal dynamism necessary to ensure the South Africa of the next 100 years is truly shaped by a people-driven democracy that we and those who come after us can be proud of. With this mission, I leave the rest to you and your generation. Thank you once again for the honor of your time. Congratulations, my fellow alumni.
Thank you, Judge Moloto, for your leadership, your fearlessness, and your wisdom. and for accepting this doctorate. And indeed, the honor is ours, as you are now a WITS alumnus. And thank you also for challenging our group of graduates and for inspiring them to take up the mantle and to continue your work. Thank you. I would now like to call upon the Acting Dean of Commerce, Law and Management to present the candidates for degrees.
Madam Chancellor, as Acting Dean of the Faculty of Commerce, Law and Management, I have the honor to present candidates for degrees. Madam Chancellor, I have the honor to present candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Commerce. Ibrahim Akuji. Ahmad Zamil. Liam Andrews. Kiara Archery. Sumaya Badat. Kiabetswe Baloi. Nkolo Baloi. Pamela Baloi. Muhammad Bana. Sinawo Bikicha. Faith Bagopa. Jacques Butter. Tyra Bugard. Nivaria Budu. Amira Bulbulia. John D. Berger. Zara Kasim. Zamandosi Frele. Kellen Chetty. Sinovuyo Damane. Dipal Deda. Zaid Dorat. Nonklankla Dibete. Neo Dirane. Njabulo Glibako. Hauletu Dube. Lebochang Dube. Amara Gangat. Fayad Gatti. Dumakude Tabashe. Daniel Giever. Teonicia Gievers. Keegan Glade. Jamie Gordon. Jabulani Khlachwayo. Indira Katawaru. Robert K. Yvette Joanna. Ghazal Khan. Tembelichle Kosa. Guguletu Kumalo. Mohau Komape. Tepiso Cooper. Natalie Kiriako with distinction. Graham Lancaster. Teboho Lebolwane. Rahul Lee. Sinenklankla Lushaba. Zamatungwa Mabaso. Mokretwa Mabina. Mbalenkle Mabuza. Simangaliso Mahlangu. Dimpo Machatlari. Poloko Makroe. Alpha Makubela. Tamia Makwaza. Morongwe Malinga. Ndiheng Malose. Machlochonolo Manaka. Tivani Manganyi. Mochebe Mangole. Minal Manilal. Obakeng Maniatela. Tony Mapupa. Bulane Mashamaiti. Tumelo Mashejo. Nozipo Mashele. Banele Machinini. Renelwe Mashishi. Onsukisa Masindi. Mbalenkle Matutu. Hoitsemang Maubane. Tina Mbambo. Tsepiso Mbata. Nombulelo Melapi. Alexia Mendez. Kana Messias. Puseletso Mete. Zanele Mfene. Sakile Mklanga. Zenan Minigan. Sibusiso Mkanchwa. Pride Mlambo. Koleka Nguni. Zenandi Mkandi. Nomtandazo Mochuchu. Mapula Modiba. Machepe Modipa. Vanessa Modise. Hoitzemang Moirane. Rakim Mohammed. Intane Mokhlala. Chireletso Mokwame. Spongile Mokwena. Wandile Mokwena. Boitumelo Moleko. Kolofelo Molele. Palesa Moniokolo. Vaishnavi Mudli. Kanimamba Mpapele. Chifiwa Mfumba. Katlejo Mpachlele. Takhalang Mpachlele. Lungelo Mtiane. Nomatemba Mtsweni. Gulisani Mudao. Danita Mangaru. Anele Mzimela. Megan Niker. Nadia Nasip. Setsabelo Nchaka. Michelle Ndlovu. Nkosinati Ngobo. Minenhle Ngema. Ndalama Ngobeni. Nokutaba Ngwenya. Promise Ngwenya. Apiwe Ongo. Retsepile Ncheke. Tobeka Nkumalo. Kensani Nyambi. Toluwane Okesukon. Zamir Omar. Safia Palekar. Pooja Parbu. Azra Patel. Mateo Polwane. Hedley Price. Katlejo Rabotata. Chantel Rambire. Lebohang Ramokonopi. Tebojo Ramosito. Juanita Ramsubak. Dempo Rangata. Dipolelo Sebapu. Katleho Sekabisa. Basetsana Shubane. Nomtsebo Sibia. Mercia Sibane. Musa Wenkosi Sikakane. Nokutula Sindane. Kanyisa Sitole. Kayelichle Sitole. Andrea Spagnoletti with distinction. Joshua Spark. Justin Stone. Xiangyu Sun. Amy Sundstrom. Sivashen Tandre. Patuchedzo Chishonga. Zubinati Tukani. Amera Valia. Suhaila Valley. Remy Weiner. Nontando Klulu. Amar Zairi. Tando Zikalala. Madam Chancellor, I have the honor to present candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Economic Science. Georgia Carrington with distinction. Delight Chowke. Colin Hugo. Werner Janssen. Lesejo Mafora. Leajo Mashishi. Camogelo Masoga. Kalani Mazibuko. Treasure Mgluli. Sipesichle Mgaga. Nomotamsankwa Moyo. Mjabulo Mtetwa with distinction. Siabonga Mtetwa. Dalukolo Ndaba. Sichle Ngalo with distinction. Camogelo Seco. Welcome Sibanyoni.
Yes.
Thank you, Dean, and once again, congratulations to all the graduates. I would now like to call upon the Acting President of Convocation to say a few words to the graduates.
Good afternoon to all of you, starting with Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, Honorary Doctorates, honoured guests, executive team, academic staff, and to you. This is your day. My name is Paul Taylor. I'm a cousin of Elizabeth Taylor, so you'll never forget me. And I sat out there many years ago, and it's an occasion I'll never forget. This is one of 24 graduation ceremonies just in April. All of them produced with the same pomp and dignity and colour and joy as you have observed throughout the ceremony. And it repeats itself this evening and so on into next week. Everybody gets the same memorable treatment. And so, for you, guys and girls, this is one of those defining moments in life. I've got a sheet here from our lady president, who's not here. She's abroad, Stacey Lee Boland, but she will be back for other occasions. But I'll deviate a little bit from what she said. You can read it anyway, it's there. But let me just add some of my views. This is a top university, guys and girls, and it presents a lot of challenges and opportunities. So you've got to go forward as graduates, holding head up high, because you've got quite a lot to brag about. You've been through the mill. You've taken, I was talking to the dean, 4, sometimes 5, and sometimes 6 years to get here. So now you leave behind the 30,000 hooligans up here. Because it only when you cross the stage today, got the cap and the hood, that you moved from being an undergraduate, mildly irresponsible, to now highly responsible citizens. And you join a very elite club. It's a club with a membership of 250,000. That's the number, 250,000 Wits graduates, strongest, the biggest, and the most powerful, in some respects, part of the university, constituency of the university, because it can speak truth to power and sometimes has to. And you have a voice through the executive committee. That's where I'm one of them, and there are others out there that are officiating. You can speak to management. You can be cheeky because they can't get you anymore because you are now graduates. So it's quite useful. 250,000 graduates. The oldest turned 100 last year. He's still alive. So we have amongst that 250,000, we have 1 or 2 graduates, and particularly one that I know well, who turned 100 last year. He's older than his alma mater. How about that? And he's alive and well and living in Pretoria. Engineer, like me. But anyway, it's quite fun to address other faculties and other students and tease them a bit, like the ones that didn't quite make it that had to write subs. You don't write a sub in your final year. You're supposed to do your subs in your first and second year. Third and fourth, you go through. But as I was listening to the dean, some of you had to do a bit more heavy lifting. That's comforting to me because I buy students in my professional practice. And what I'm going to say to you this afternoon, I'm going to say next week as well, because I'll be here next week. And I can look through a CV in 90 seconds. And if I see that somebody's a Wits graduate, and not that other place down the road, and the other place across the Yuxgay, that boy or girl has got points on the board before the game has started. So, and it's very comforting. Let me go back to the staff here, that they didn't let you through easily, and that's the way it's meant to be. It's an unforgiving atmosphere. If you don't come up to scratch, they don't let you through, and that's comforting to me, because if the big bad world out there gets a sniff at anything different, it's a different scenario. So keep it up, Dean, or Acting Dean, and I'll say the same thing to your colleagues next week. Gives us comfort. Are you smiling at me? I don't think he is, but at least he's looking at me. So, you go forth into this big bad world out there. Some of you might come back for punishment, again, for higher degrees. That's fine, because you come back now as postgraduates, which is a very respectable position to be in. Now, you must get on to do the graduate exit survey to get your names into this club, for which the entrance fee and the annual fee is 0. Best bargain of the lot. Anyway, shortly this will dismiss when the Chancellor does so, and then you'll all spill out into that beautiful sunlight, not like the weekend, beautiful. And this day will stay with you forever, like it did with me. So before we do that, let's have a bit of fun. So stand up, all of you, graduates. Hold up your pieces of paper. Hold them up high. Higher, higher. I can't see some of you. Have you got them? You can hold up the paper or the cardboard. But is there anybody that's cheating here? All right. That is your reward. And there we go. Yeah. That's it. Keep going. Yeah. It's your turn. Also, you might want to bow and cheer and clap to those of your faculty staff here present and beyond. Certainly, you've got to be nice to the dean in case you're back next year doing a higher degree. So, we look forward to welcoming you to the club. One of these days, one of you will stand here. This is not the Ukraine flag. This is the Wits colors, right? Blue and gold, not yellow, gold. And it's an immense privilege, and I enjoy every one of these graduation ceremonies when I have to do this role, because I just see those young faces coming past me, and it's very uplifting. I will now leave you there with that thought, but when you spill out there, just spill out and take the photographs and go up to the Great Hall steps and get that backdrop with the Great Hall. You've got to get that in your photo. Enjoy. Thank you.
Oh. Can you hear me now? Yeah, that sounds better. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Before I conclude the ceremony, I just want to add something on a personal note. As a young doctor, a young mother, and a young wife, I was in the township of Umlazi in Durban, right? And Upo Justice that we call Judge Dr. Justice Moloto is one of those leaders we looked up to, not only because of his sharp legal mind, but also because of his commitment to human justice, social justice, and speaking truth to power. You heard his message today, and I hope you'll do what he promised and asked you to do, speak truth to power and do what's right. But it wasn't only But Justice, it was the whole family. Those days in the 80s, there weren't many prominent families, and you were looking around for role models in families, and your family, But Justice, was one of those. I'm happy that your beautiful daughters are here today and your son-in-law, because I really want to thank you. The things you do just by living your life makes so many young black kids and black young people, and actually just across the color, have hope that we can also achieve. I thank you. Dumelo amongst you promised me that he'll be coming back for the next degree. You know who you are, and I take that promise very seriously. Graduates, colleagues, and guests, this concludes the proceedings for today. And now, by virtue of the power vested in me as Chancellor, I hereby dissolve this congregation of the University of Witwatersrand. Please rise.
Obani labo Gibona besabeika selam Batwe